The Native American Shaman Lady from Beaver Island, Michigan by Dennis M. Morrison, Sr. As I began studying the ancient past of Michigan's Native American inhabitants, I discovered a wonderful world filled with many unusual, exciting experiences that not many really get a chance to have. In June 1993, my first real book was published, not by a vanity publisher, but by a real book publisher who paid me. I had had a great many articles and booklets published before this and after, but this one event made me feel honestly like a real, honest-to-goodness author, and the book was well received. I'll never forget the day when the box arrived at my home in Greenbush with a couple hundred advanced copies for me to distribute to family and friends and to be used at local book signings and events. While I stray just a bit from the main topic, please bear with me a moment. The day the books arrived, I met the UPS man at the door and signed for the package. My young son Dennis was right there also, and so too was my little girl Charlene, though she was too young to realize what all of my excitement was about. My little son was so excited as he helped me open the box. My wife was there also, but she stood off in the kitchen and in a sulk, as she always was whenever I had any kind of success. The summer was awesome. There were many radio interviews and even a full half-hour television interview. The book signings were terrific, and the response to the book was very good. What was quite satisfying to me is that the book was very well thought of by the local Native American populace, many of which considered me, at that time, to be one of their own. The book was titled The Secret Society of the Shamans and primarily dealt with Indian religions of the Great Lakes area. Surprisingly, the book was not released just to the outlets here in the United States, but also Canada, England, and Australia. But back to my main topic, a very special Native American woman who came into my life one cool autumn afternoon in 1993. My wife Kathy was at work, and I was taking care of supper for Dennis and Charlene. We had just sat down at the dining table when there came a knock at the door. I walked over, opened the door, and what a surprise. An unusual sight awaited my eyes there. Standing before me was a rather portly Native American woman in full Indian dress. Around her head was a colorful headband in traditional pattern. Her dress was buckskin with beads and fringe. Her arms were held out, and across them was a traditional otter-skin medicine bag. I was speechless. First I wondered if this person had somehow been offended by my book and was there to let me know. None of the Native American people I knew walked around carrying an otter-skin medicine bag with them. It was a fairly sacred object. I cannot remember her name, but in a soft voice she told me, and then explained that she was a shaman lady of the Indians who lived on Beaver Island on the west side of the state in Lake Michigan. She continued by explaining that she had read my book and that she and the people on the island were quite happy with it, and that someone was working to bring knowledge of their religious beliefs to interested people. Then she asked if she could come in and talk. Dennis and Charlene's eyes were wide as at this woman who was strangely dressed. Dennis had been around my work enough, though, to recognize her as an Indian woman. She came in and sat down at the dining room table, and for the next hour and a half or so truly honored us in a way that few non-natives are. First she presented me with a number of special gifts. She gave me a small amber medicine bottle filled with sacred cedar oil. Oh, what a wonderful woodland scent that had. She explained how difficult the oil is to make and that they actually produce it on Beaver Island. Most of what they make is purchased by the Vatican in Rome and is very expensive. The bottle I was given would have cost at least several $100s. The bottle of oil is now safely in the possession of my son Dennis. Then she gave me a tobacco pouch that she made, which had small beads of tiny Lake Superior agates. This was filled with a traditional tobacco mixture made with items that she had gathered herself in the woodlands. The mixture is called kinnikinnick, and it was so mellow and gave such a relaxing feeling when it was smoked that it had no harmful ingredients at all. After the presentation of the gifts, she sang several songs in the Chippewa language that she had learned as a child from her mother. My little daughter was the most beautiful little girl I'd ever seen, and I remember her chin resting on her palms as she stared almost transfixed by this magical seeming woman, that was singing to us in her native tongue. I gave her a tour of our private museum and the thousands of artifacts that I, Dennis, and Kathy had unearthed in and around Oscoda. She asked me if it was possible for me to take her to the old Vanetton Creek site where I'd done most of my work. Old Vanetton Creek is a middle and late woodland period site on 3 levels that abounds with relics of the ancient past. Many, many times when I was there alone working, I felt as though I were being guided to the ancient relics by those who had made this place their home. I forget the circumstances exactly, but there was a reason that I could not go with her that day to the site. I gave her detailed instructions on how to get there, and she went out to visit the occupation site on her own. It seemed as though she had been gone about an hour and a half when she knocked again at the door and asked if she could come in and talk for a moment longer. You see, as a shaman, she believed that she had a special ability to speak with the spirits of her ancestors, well, at least those who still walked the earth. She told me that she wanted to share with me what they shared with her about me. Oh, sorry, who are they? They are the people who called Old Vanetton Creek their home, and many of their spirits still lived there, according to her at least. She said the people wanted me to know that they were very aware of me and the work I was doing at Old Vanetton Creek. They were very happy with me and glad that I was there, preserving what they had left behind. They wanted me to know that they wanted me to be there so they could share with me. After delivering the message, the shaman lady left to return across the state to her home on Beaver Island. I never saw her again, but to be sure, I will never, ever forget this remarkable lady of the woodlands.